Well, hello again, Mean Green fans, and welcome to Hank's house, or as luck would have it, Hank's backyard. This is episode 2 as we look back at some great games in the history of Mean Green football. And today you might notice, once again, I'm going a little retro here with my jacket, and I've got a ball that I was presented from the 2014 January 1st Heart of Dallas Bowl, played in the historic Cotton Bowl. It was a day where North Texas put it all together in front of nearly 40,000 fans, most of them dressed just like I am in green. And that ball you saw was given to me afterwards by Dan McCarney, who celebrated his best day as the Mean Green head coach. Dan did a wonderful job coming in and taking over the program. First coach ever at Apogee Stadium, but it was this 2013 team that really put things over the top for Coach Mack and a really wonderful staff. And they were led by 22 seniors. And that was a bunch of guys that I think had just gotten fed up with losing. They were ready to put things together. They'd been close but no cigar. And you had a feeling from the very get-go that this team had the right makeup. And among those 22 seniors was the quarterback, the only quarterback to ever be the MVP of a bowl game for North Texas. So let's bring him in right now. Number 7, Derek Thompson, out of Glen Rose. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Hank?
I'm great. It's great to see you. I wish we were maybe 6 feet apart instead of Zooming it. But tell everybody what you're doing these days, what your career is, which should surprise nobody. And if they don't know, tell them about your wife and your connection with North Texas through her.
Man, where did we get started? I'm currently the offensive coordinator at Sherman High School, a little bit north of Dallas. So not too far from Mean Green land. So I'm trying to stay as close as I possibly can to you guys and stay connected as much as possible. But I'm going on year 5 at Sherman, and man, it's a great place for me and my family. There's a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of Mean Green alumni on our staff and at Sherman High School. So anytime we can cut it up and talk Mean Green football, we do. So, me and Mandy, we've got a young boy. He's about to be 2 years old next month, and he's a handful. And he is my son in every aspect of it. And wouldn't want it any other way. We're also expecting a second boy here in a couple months. So in July we'll be welcoming number 2. So we're excited for that, and we're getting ready for that. And we're just moving along as best we can right now.
And Mandy Thompson was Mandy Harden before you got on the scene. And of course, Mandy's the daughter of Mary Harden, the longtime football secretary. And a lot of people think I'm the one that's been around the longest. Mary's held up a lot better, but actually Mary has the longest tenure of anybody in our athletic department. I think she goes back probably to the Corky Nelson days, maybe before that. But anyway, you married into quite a Mean Green family, so you're a great person to have on this call today because of your connections. And you were the leader of a team, like I said, 22 seniors, and the 21 that were surrounding you really put it all together that year. What kind of were your thoughts going into that season?
Well, when you sign to play Division I football, you never want to go through heartaches and go through the season of going 2-10, 1-11. It's just you work way too hard to put yourself in that position to not be successful. And after 4 years of not reaching our goal, I think that group of 22 seniors finally just came together in January following our junior year, and we just said, enough's enough, and we're gonna find a way to get this done. And we had the leadership, we had the talent, but we just had to find a way to put it all together. And luckily for us, it clicked as a senior group, and along with a lot of help from the younger guys that kind of bought in as well. But I think it came from the leadership of that senior class, and a lot of guys that really set the tone for that year. And the guys, Zach Orr, Breeland, just guys that really stood out and just made a complete difference to what our mindset was going into that year.
Well, let's take fans back to was really an unbelievable day. It was the first bowl game of the day on January 1st, 2014. And tell me what it's like to come down that tunnel at the Cotton Bowl. I mean, everyone grows up watching Texas OU. You had your Texas OU moment right here at that great stadium.
Yeah, and luckily for us, it wasn't split. You know, that was a glorified home game for us. So we're walking out of that tunnel, and you just see a sea of green. And you know, I'm watching the clip right now, and I'm getting goosebumps just kind of reliving that moment right there. But you know, January 1st, you know, if you're going to get a bowl game, you want to play on January 1st, and that's what we were able to do. And you know, the first game of the day, and all eyes are on the Mean Green, and you know, our fans were there as a home game for us, and it was unbelievable. It was unreal, and you know, again, I get chills just watching it now.
You know, you think about it, plenty of January 1st games at the Cotton Bowl have been frigid and awful weather, but this was just a perfect Mean Green day. And you open it up going to number 3. Breeland Chancellor is probably one of the most versatile offensive players in the history of North Texas football. What are your best thoughts on Breeland?
You know, it's funny. I tell people this all the time. When Breeland first got on campus, you know, he'll probably get mad at me for saying this, but he looked like a skater. Little skater boy. He had some crazy hair, and you know, he walks out, and I'm looking at some of the other guys. I said, "Who is this guy? You know, is he going to fit in here?" And then immediately we get into camp as he's a true freshman, and you could just see the special traits that he had in the return game as a receiver, and you know, as we got going throughout our career, we tried to find every possible way to get number 3 the ball, because he was so dynamic and he was so special. And as small as he was, you know, he had the heart of a lion. And you saw that every time he stepped on the field. It was a lot of fun to throw to number 3.
Well, you threw the ball with a really nice percentage that season, 60%, and it's because you had guys that had sure hands. And Breeland, like I said, probably the most dynamic, but you had Darnell Smith, you had Drew Miller out of the tight end pack. You had a lot of guys that could hold on to the football.
Absolutely, and that's what you want as a quarterback. Your job is to distribute the football to your playmakers. And you know, going into that year, some guys definitely stepped up. Carlos Harris was a 2.0 version of Breeland, just a dynamic guy. Darius Terrell, another guy that could step in and play that position. So we were able to rotate guys in, keep them fresh, and not miss a beat. And so I think when you're able to put that many athletes on the field, it just puts that much more pressure on a defense.
The opponent that day was the Rebels of UNLV, and they came in with an excellent offense, scored a lot of points, and you're forced to turn the ball over to him here, but you get a little foreshadowing here, and that is special teams mattered to Dan McCarney, and had a good punter, had good special teams units, and there were a lot of flippings of the field that year because of the focus on special teams.
Absolutely. Coach Perry, he did such a great job. He took so much pride in that unit. And, you know, there's 4 things that we talked about to winning a football game. And one was play great defense. 2 was score in the red zone. You know, 3, win the turnover battle. And 4, make plays in special teams. And so, you know, you see that a lot throughout this year. There was a lot of block kicks. There's a lot of different things that we were able to pin people deep in the punt game and really flip the field and force those offenses to drive the length of the field against a really, really, really talented defense that we had.
So here comes one of those, and this is one of the early big plays of the game. High snap, but handled by Mosick, and then you watch here, just a very fortuitous team. And you know, you talk about it, the difference in a winning team and a losing team sometimes comes down to takeaways. This team was remarkable in that category.
Yeah, that's what we preached on, is taking care of the football offensively. We had very few fumbles as an offensive unit, and we were able to take the football away defensively. And that led to a lot of short fields for us, which ultimately we were able to cash in. And so, you know, the difference between a 7-point game comes down to turnover battles and special teams. And I think that's what kind of put us over the top for most of the year.
Like most games, you fall behind early, but here you get on a scoring drive, and there's Breeland doing what he does, using the wide side of the field, catching an angle. And, you know, if he can catch that corner, not only can he get the first down, but a lot of times, and you'll see it later, he can catch the corner and outrun everybody for a big play. So many big plays out of Breeland Chancellor that year.
Yeah, that's kind of a power read that we had ran. We'd worked on it for a month straight. We got to the point where Coach Canales looked at me and said, "Hey, I know you're going to make the right read, but if you have every opportunity, you better hand the ball off, because with the ball in his hands, a lot better than the ball in your hands, we're running the football." So I was smart. that game and gave it to him every chance I could.
We see a little bit of Antoine Jimerson and then Brandon Bird. And Bird, ends up being 1,000-yard carrier on the season. He was a guy that maybe doesn't get talked about enough. Brandon Bird was a guy who really you could count on each and every game to just pound it between the tackles.
Brandon Bird was steady Eddie. You knew what you were going to get from him every single game. Tough, hard-nosed guy that, he did all the things the right way. And so, along with Brandon Bird, as special as he was, we had Antoine Jimerson and we also had Reggie Pegram. So we kind of had a three-headed monster back there. Again, the success of an offense is being able to interchange different pieces and still be able to be effective. 3 running backs that could tote the ball at any time, and those different receivers that we had, there was just so many different elements to our offense that I think that really helped us.
The play right there could have gone bad, but it didn't. North Texas holds on. So you're getting some breaks in this game maybe, but you make your own breaks, right?
Sure. That's funny because we ran this reverse right here, and this is the play that I'd actually gotten injured on. Right after I pitched it to Carlos here, I kind of got hit and planted, and my kneecap actually dislocated. So as you see here in this next clip, Andrew Mcnulty, one of my very, very best friends, he's in the game right here. So he gets the luxury of getting the first score of the game. All right, but it was a great drive. Again, different elements of the game: running the ball, throwing the ball, being smart, and just being effective offensively here.
Andrew Mcnulty scored the first ever touchdown at Apogee in that game against Houston on September 10th of 2011. So he'll always go down there. And at this point in time, I know he's watching it and he's saying, what about the offensive line? Okay, Mason Y. Barbo, here we go. Props to the offensive line, because it was a big, big part of giving you the protection you needed and open the holes for those runners we just talked about. Underrated offensive line, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for 2 years in a row, I think we led the country in least amount of sacks given up, and that's a big part of what those guys did. Coach Simmons, he was so good at game planning and figuring out where blitzes were coming from, and he just had that knack for always putting us in a good position to be successful. And that's a big part of taking care of the football, is staying upright, making good decisions. But a lot of the reason we were able to have success on the outside is because of those guys in the trenches. And Cyril Lemon, obviously Mason Barbo was a bell cow of that unit. Not the biggest guy, but again, just that Badger mentality of never giving up and continuing to fight. And he's the one that jumps on that fumble right there that leads to that first touchdown for us. And he always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. So they made my job a lot easier, and so that I was able to give the ball to those other guys, and big props to those guys up front.
So we've seen the offense now take charge and get in a nice groove, but it was the Mean Green defense really all year that made such a huge difference. And it's hard to pinpoint who the biggest hitters were, because a lot of guys could bring the lumber. Talk about that defense that gave you such good field position all year.
Yeah, they were all hard hitters, I promise. We battled it out in spring and fall camp, and I always felt that I was better prepared for games because I got to go against our defense every week. So I felt like I was always prepared because I wasn't going to see the same defense on Saturdays as good as what we had. And, again, I've said it before, led by Zach Orr, Marcus Trice, Aaron Bellazine, Laramie Lee, those guys, Kenny Byers, man, they gave you so many fits. Derek Akune, very underrated linebacker for us. And just the speed that we had on the field. Again, we weren't the biggest team. When you watch it, UNLV was obviously a lot bigger than we were. But man, they got hit and they got hit, and eventually by the end of the game, they didn't want any more of it. And you see a big play there by Laramie Lee right there. That guy, pound for pound, is one of the toughest dudes I've ever met. I'm glad he wore green for us.
Laramie Lee, of course, was the guy that finally finished that 8-play stand against Rice earlier in the year, where it started with a Marcus Trice tackle at the 2, and then you had to hold him off for not one set of downs, but the other. That Rice stand was one of the things this defense will forever be remembered. But you did a great job recounting a lot of the guys, and I've been using this book that David Pike put together called Champions, the story of the legacy of the 2013 team. And yeah, I go back and you tend to forget about the Ryan Boutwells, and certainly Richard Abbey was a big part of that defensive line. The Sarge, Adam McCoy, there were a lot of really solid parts. But the guy that I thought maybe was the energizer for the whole unit was Marcus Trice. That's one of the best transfers that we've ever gotten. He was a Big 12 player in a Conference USA body.
Yeah, he was. And again, not the biggest guy, but the heart of a lion. He was gonna attack you in different angles. He was gonna hit you in the mouth, and he was gonna stand over you. He was gonna talk a little mess while he did it, and that's what made Marcus so special. Is he did a lot of talking, but he backed it up with his play. I remember the first meeting we had when he transferred in January. He came in. We're doing introductions of all the new guys. He stood up and said, Marcus Trice starting safety next year. That's the first thing out of his mouth that he said, and he stuck to it, and he just the way he played, the fire in his game, and the compassion that he played with was unmatched.
So we've seen some good things already out of the offense and the defense. Now we're in the third quarter, and this game is going to have to turn one way or the other. This is a scoring drive where you mix it up pretty well.
Yeah, I think we were tied going into halftime. We felt offensively we were a little bit disappointed. We'd missed some opportunities early, a penalty here, a sack here, whatever it was. We just didn't feel like we had executed the way we wanted to, and so we kind of recharged at halftime. You could tell they're starting to heat us up a little bit, and so. You got some one-on-one matchups in the secondary. And again, with the guys that we had, we felt really good that we were going to win those one-on-one matchups. And again, a guy we didn't talk a whole lot about was Marcus Smith. Big body tight end, guy that we could bring in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends with Drew or Daniel Pryor and really be able to take advantage of mismatches. And him being 6'4", 240 pounds, that was a big opportunity for us.
This is my favorite play in the playbook, and on the radio call, that's exactly what I said. Chico knew that I loved the tight end, and whenever you could run this, I think we may run it 4 or 5 times successfully. The little drag to the tight end, misdirection, you have to sell it, but he's got to get loose, and that was a play that I thought opened this game up.
Yeah, obviously, that's. I think every time we ran it in college, I think we were successful every time. It's a motion play, you kind of window dress where you got action flowing one way with the race motion by the receiver, trying to get eyes going one way. You leak that tight end out the back door. 9 times out of 10, that guy's going to be unseen. Luckily, the protection held up like it had all year. You could tell in the clip, Antonio Johnson, he's pointing back there. He sees him wide open. He's just saying, just get him the ball, DT. And so we were able to do that and really kind of open up the game right there, and our confidence started to grow.
It's like last week when George and I were talking about the 2002 team. There's a great picture of Michael Hickman scoring 1 of 3 touchdowns against New Mexico State, and you get to see the sideline, which is what I love going down the corridor years. And that catch by Miller, there's a great picture inside this book, and just some of the people, the support staff that I see all along that sideline, they knew too because they'd been around the team. That was a turning point. But you keep it going, and the next scoring drive really kind of is emblematic of, hey, this team didn't always start strong, but the finishes were always really pretty formidable.
Absolutely. We based our offense based off of running the football first and foremost, and we were going to be successful in how we did that. we didn't run a whole lot of different plays, but we just did a lot of window dressing where we lined up in a bunch of different formations and ran the same thing at you. So we seemed complex and gave defensive coordinators fits, but we were very, very simple in what we did. We were going to take advantage of one-on-one opportunities. We were going to play action. And, when you're able to run the ball successfully, that opens up that play action passing. Kind of give them some different looks, especially when you have a month to prepare. Offensive coordinators, defense coordinators, they go crazy because they almost put in too much, before a bowl game. And so we gave them some different looks, things they hadn't seen. And we were able to drive the ball methodically down the field and obviously ended with a touchdown right here.
Jet sweep, Breeland. And, there's an argument. We talked about it on the radio that day coming down the stretch. Who's the MVP of this game? Is it Thompson, who had great numbers, no picks, 2 touchdowns, or was it Breeland Chancellor? Still a pretty good argument. You guys ever joke around about that?
Yeah, I think he's still mad at me. I know it's the year 2020, but man, I think he's still a little bit bitter. But again, if he had got it, he deserved it, every bit of it, because he was the catalyst that day for us. I was just there to distribute the football, but man, he was electric. And you could tell if the timing's off on that jet sweep right there, it's not a very good play. It doesn't look good, but he was so fast. If you just gave him the ball, he was going to win that edge right there. And ultimately, by the time they figured out what was happening, he was already dancing in the end zone.
Feeling pretty good. Starting to pull away from UNLV on a sun-splashed day at the Cotton Bowl, and the defense decided, you know what? If the offense is having fun, we're going to have fun too. They come up with a bundle of sacks to really put this thing away.
Yeah, I think it was different people every time. Belzine, Sarge, Richard Abbey pushed in the middle of the pocket right there. It's, we were able to put so many different blitzes in and be effective. Coach Cladany did such a great job with that aspect of getting our defense ready to play each week. And, once you can kind of smell blood in the water, we were able to kind of pin our ears back and tee off on those guys. And, confidence is a big part of this game. And, when your confidence is shook, it doesn't feel like many things are going to go your way. We smelled blood in the water and we kind of attacked.
Yeah, and that's a nice setup to this touchdown drive, which shows you pulling away in the Plains Capital Bank sponsored Heart of Dallas Bowl. Couldn't have been a better opportunity. And as you watch the plays here in this, what were your thoughts initially of being like Dallas? I think we all were a little let down, and then we came around on it to say, you know what, this is actually maybe the best thing that could have happened for the program, because extended families could come and be a part of this.
Yeah, I think, we had a couple of opportunities to go to different bowls, and, just visiting with our admin and coaches, they asked us, especially as seniors, they said, what do y'all want? We have a couple of options here, but I know, for me personally speaking, I think most people would agree, is we wanted to play in front of our fans. And it'd been so long since we had that opportunity to play in a bowl game. We wanted to reward our fans for being so loyal to us that year, and be able to go down, just an hour south of us to go play in that historic stadium, January 1st. Yeah, that, to me, that was a no-brainer, to go play in front of our fans there. And 40,000 of green, that's a lot of fun.
That's a pretty good toss by you right there. We're going to get another that ball really couldn't have been thrown much better.
Well, I'll give Darnell the credit there. He made a great play. Again, you try to put guys in the right position and let them go make plays. It was actually pretty good coverage, and it was one of those deals that timed up well. I was on time with the ball. Darnell makes a great play. We go score. I think at this point it puts us up 28-7. And, again, like I talked about, you can kind of smell the blood in the water, and, there's some celebrating that's starting to go on. And so great execution, great play call, taking a shot right there in the green zone, what we call it, just taking a shot down the field, and good things happen.
Have you washed your hands lately? You have to wash your hands all the time. So
I think my hands are raw.
Mine have never been cleaner, by the way.
Hey, it's probably a good thing. People are starting to work on their personal hygiene a little bit more. So there's some there's some definite benefits to being stuck at home. And
Yeah, I've been woodworking a lot. This is my first example. This was just a piece of wood like a week ago, but that's not true. Talk about clean hands. The defense comes up with a pick here as we start to salt away this game. And let's take a look at how it all plays out here. Herring had a rough day. Defense had been on him all over, or just all over him. And that's a fitting way for North Texas defense to set up the offense.
Yeah, you can see Kenny Byers right there undercuts that post route. I mean, unreal. Just the momentum that we kind of created, and again, just taking advantage of opportunities. Again, you could tell he was rattled a little bit. He was frustrated, and they were frustrated offensively because they couldn't really get things going. They kind of felt the same pain of a lot of teams that played us that year against our defenses. So, getting a short field, Coach Canales' mentality after a big play, after a big turnover, is we're going to make something happen right off the get-go, whether it's we take a shot, we run some sort of trick play. And I'll be honest with you, I think this is what won the MVP for me right here. It wasn't Breeland scoring, it was the block that I laid on that defensive end. I think that's what sealed the deal for me.
Yes, those show your toughness here. You get a pretty good piece of him. I mean, you definitely stop.
I tell you what, I gave him all I had. It wasn't much, but it's all I had. The other guy was massive. It was like hitting a brick wall, but it did the job. I'll take it.
Now, do you remember this 2-point conversion here?
Yeah, this
was fun.
Yeah, Drew Miller, he was my roommate in college, and so this is his claim to fame right here. Besides the touchdown earlier in the game, for him to, this is the epitome of what Drew Miller was, man. Just this is so funny here, and kind of a bummer for Zach Olin to come in and get us blocked. But then, when good things are happening, we're able to pick the ball up and go score and get the 2 points. And it was like, yeah, this is our day today.
Well, I would say this, whether I was talking to you or not, when it was over with, I was really the most happy for two people. One, for Coach Mack, and two, for you, because your career began inauspiciously. You got robbed of a redshirt year with about a minute and a half left in a game at Arkansas State, where you had to come in because we were literally out of quarterbacks. That was tough. You go to West Point and break your leg. I'm glad you mentioned the injury in this game, because I was the only guy that remembered it. Dr. House didn't remember it. Capper didn't remember it, but you had to overcome a kneecap. So you had overcome about everything you could to have this kind of a moment. How much did it mean that day, and how much does it mean every day to have experienced that?
Well, it's the surreal feeling of finally being able to accomplish what you had signed up to do. That was kind of the peak of the pinnacle for us is playing in that game one, but winning it and doing it in front of our fans. Again, we could bring it up today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. I'm still going to get goosebumps thinking about it, because that was such a special group. Coach McCarney, one of my mentors, guy that I really looked up to, he believed in us, and he was willing to go to battle for us each and every day. And that's the biggest thing, is we'd go through a brick wall for him, and to be able to celebrate that with him, kind of the pinnacle of his tenure in North Texas, and to celebrate with the guys that had been there, the seniors that had gone through some hardships, through some triumphs and tribulations, but the pinnacle of that was the last time we stepped on the field together was a big bowl victory. And again, it's an emotional moment in our lives, and something we won't ever forget.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to walk us through all of that, and I agree with everything you said. And Seth Luttrell has gone to 3 bowl games. He's going to get his at some point. In fact, was very close in the same setting against Army his first year at the Heart of Dallas Bowl. And if we get the opportunity to play in Dallas again, I think North Texas fans would embrace it. But that day, that January 1st, 2014, was a high watermark in so many regards, because it got a alumni base that lives right around Dallas-Fort Worth together, and you guys definitely delivered. So thanks again for the memories, and I'm glad you're coaching. You're a good guy to be working with kids. Good luck at Sherman in the coming year if we can get things going after all this COVID business has finally run its course.
Well, thanks for having me, Hank. And I enjoyed doing this and reliving those moments with a special group. And, hopefully we can get back to some normalcy soon, so that we can kind of get back to our lives. But, we got to do what we got to do right now. And, doing segments like this with you, and it definitely helps pass the time and brings up some great memories in our lives.
Well, for Derek, this is Hank with one final reminder, and that is if you're a letter winner, especially one that played on that 2013 team, go to meangreenforlife.com. Make sure you join up because we're going to be introducing a ballot for the Hall of Fame. And I have a feeling number 7 might have a chance this year to sneak in there. A lot of people nominating Derek Thompson. So you got to be a dues paying member to vote. That's a great reason to take advantage of that benefit. Good luck in that endeavor, DT, and we will be hollering at you down the line. Keep that family safe and sound, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Hank.
And as always, behind the scenes, the Wizard of Oz, Zach Powell, he'll be doing all the editing work on this, and we'll look forward to the finished product. So for At Home with Hank, thanks for being with us, and you guys stay safe and healthy as well. Take care and go